welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for your love, for your support. If you are new to the channel, you're welcome. If you have not subscribed, I would appreciate if you would do that. It actually takes nothing for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then if you want to register for my online classes, you can just see my number scrolling through the screen. You can send me a message on WhatsApp, and then I'll give you the details of the classes that I have presently available. Okay, so guys, let's get started. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew a top. So you can see it. It's like a blanket, like a shirt kind of blanket top. So that's what we are going to learn how to do today. It's a simple process and it's a simple top, and it is beginners friendly. Okay guys, so this is the fabric that I'm going to be making use of. You can see it is a Duchess fabric. So I have about 2 yards of this fabric, but it's not the thick one, it's not very thick. Okay. So the next thing we're going to be making use of our pattern paper. So this is like a basic bodice pattern. So you can, in case you don't know how to draft a basic bodice, I'm going to drop the link on the description box. It's a simple process. So the next thing we're going to do now, I'm going to fold my fabric, and then we're going to start measuring. Okay guys, so I decided to cut the back first because I don't want to waste my fabric. If I cut both of them, I'm going to waste the fabric. So let's cut the back piece first. So you can see it is a very free top. So I'm just going to fold my fabric like this, and then I'll place this. So the length of my top, I want it to be 30 inches. So this is my 30 inches here. I'm going to add 2 inches to it for stitching allowance. So I'm just going to do this. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out right now, and then I'll use what I have here to cut out the back, to cut out the front. Okay guys, so because I don't want to waste my fabric, I decided to cut the back first, and then I'll use the back to cut the front. So I'm just going to place this, and then the full length of the top is 30 inches. So you can see this is my 30 inches, and then I added 2 inches for stitching allowance. So it's a simple process. And then this side, I'm just going to float this into the stand. So I'm going to cut this out right now. Okay guys, so the next thing, we're going to cut out the front. So this is our back piece. So I'm going to place it on the front, but because of that placket at the center, I'm going to leave 2 inches for that placket. So I'm going to measure to check. So that 2 inches, just make sure it runs all through from the top to the bottom. So I have that 2 inches already. So I'm going to go and I'll cut this out right now. So the next thing, very important, please note, I'm going to notch that point where my placket is. So just make sure you double check it, and then give it a notch both on the top and on the bottom. So I'll notch this, and then I'll do the same thing to the bottom part, that's the down part. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now, we're going to add our neckline. So you can see my neckline. My neckline, I don't really want it to be as wide as what we have on the thumbnail. Okay, so I'm still going to use my 3 inches. That's for the width of the neckline. That's 3 inches. And then that's for the back. And then the front, it is like a V neckline. So for the front, I'm going to use about 7 inches. I'm going to use about 7 inches. So I don't want it too deep. I'm just trying to double check what I have here. Okay. So for the back, the depth of the back neckline, I'm going to go with about 1 inch for the back neckline. I'll just curve it in like this. And then the front neckline is what I'm going to use the 7 inches for. So I'll cut out the back neckline right now. So for the front neckline, I'm just going to use this like this. It's not like a full V, but you can see what I'm trying to do. Okay, so I'll cut this out, and then before I cut out, I'll make sure that my 2 inches line, I'll indicate that so I don't mess it up after cutting. So I'll put my notch here. I'll still put my notch back. So the next thing I'm going to do now, cut out my plackets. Sorry, I'll cut out my facing for both the back and the front. Okay, so I've cut out the fabric. So I just cut out, I did not cut out the neckline on it. I just cut out length 11 and 11. That's like 11, 11. Width, length 11. So we'll take it to the machine and I'll show you how to turn it. So for this blanket, in order to do it very well, take your ruler like this and then we're going to rule a line on it. So it's on that line we're going to stitch on. So with that, it will make it easier for us. Okay, so now when we take to the machine now, I'm going to take this to the machine and then I'm going to stitch this down here on the wrong side. So after stitching that, for the the blanket, sorry, I keep calling it blanket. For the facing, so you can see the fabric that I cut out is a very simple process. So this is the right side and then this is the right side of my fabric. So I'm just going to take this, I'll place this here like this, and then I'm just going to stitch here, and then I'll trim out all the other excess. So I actually want I want it long, so that is why I did it this way, because the fabric, like I said, is a little bit light. Okay, so I'll do that and then iron them and then I'll bring it back and show you how it looks like. Okay, so you can see, so I finished stitching the back neckline. So after stitching it, you just trim it and then I'll turn it inside and then I'll just iron this nicely. So this is the front piece now. The machine is making noise. So I'm going to stitch this first. So after stitching, I'll now use my facing to turn it out just the way I showed you the back piece. So I'll do that and then I'll show you how to iron it open. Okay, so you can see I brought it here, so I'm going to show you. So the stitch is actually done on the right side. Okay, so I ironed it down. So the next thing I'm going to, let me just put off my pressing iron. So the next thing now, I'm going to open this up like this and then I'm going to iron it down, as I'm just trying to use my hands to open it. So I'll open it and then I'll give it a press. So I'm going to open this up and then I'll press it down. So I can just continue like that until it is straightened out. Okay, so you can see after everything it is looking okay. So the next thing now is just for me to turn it out to use the facing to turn out the neckline and then join them together. So I'll do that and then bring it back and show you. Okay, so you can see I finished turning it. So I've ironed it down so it looks really perfect and good and it is looking flat. So the next thing now is just for me to join the back piece. So I'll join on the shoulder and then join the side. So for mine, for the side, I'm not going to stitch it to the down. So I want it to have like a little bit of slits. So I'm just going to leave a little bit. So I'll do that and then come back and show you how to cut the sleeves. Okay, so I finished stitching. So you can see. So you can see the edge that I set. So I left this part. I just stitched it up to about 19 inches. So I want this part open. So this part I'm going to secure it down. I'm just going to stitch it down just to have opening at the edge. So the next thing, we're going to cut our sleeve. So in cutting the sleeve, I'm going to measure round. So after measuring, I had about 10 inches. You just measure it round like that. I had about 10 inches. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to measure the length of my sleeve. So I want it to be a little bit long so I can fold it and then use that cuffs for it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to measure about 22 inches here. So that's 22 inches. The next thing, I'll come to this side. So my fabric is folded into two. That's I have 10, that's the wideness is 10 inches. That's the wideness of the armhole. So from this point, I'm just going to mark, come down by 4 inches. So this 4 inches, I'm going to connect it to this point like this. So you can see it is a very simple process. So, and then just check to make sure that I have. And then the next thing, the width of my sleeve. So I'm going to use that 10 inches that I marked. I'm just going to take it down like this. So it's just going to be a normal straight sleeve. So I'll just mark it here. So at this part, this hem part, I reduced it a little bit to about 8 inches. So that's that. So I'm going to cut this out now. Okay, so I've cut out the sleeve. So the next thing is just for me to join it. So since I'm using the same wideness, that's the width, all I'm just going to do is I'm going to stitch it down here and then hem the down and then I'll fix it here. So if you want to, the easiest way for you to start stitching sleeve, you start it from this top part. So you stitch. So in case it is too wide, anything that is remaining, you can always trim it out. So that's just like a very simple way for a beginner for you to stitch a sleeve. So the next thing now, we're going to cut our cuffs. So for the cuff, that is like I'm just going to fold my fabric and then I want to use 7 inches. So what I mean by that 7 inches is going to stay like this and then it's going to come like this. So I'll use about 7 inches. So what I'm going to do, I'll sew and turn my my sleeve. That's I'll sew and turn it. So for the top part, I'm just going to put something like a little bit of design, just curve out this part a little bit like this. So that's what I'm saying. When I stitch, I'll curve this part like this. Instead of stitching it straight, I'm going to just curve this down. So I'll cut 7 inches and then I'll sew it and turn it. So the down part is going to be open. So I'll do that and then bring it back and show you. Okay guys, so you can see, so I finished stitching. So I've joined my sleeve just like I explained. So you just join it. So and then my cuffs for this sleeve, I fixed this one so you can see how it is looking. So this is how it will stay. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did it. So this is my sleeve. So I finished stitching, but if you notice what I did, so my sleeve, you can hem your own. I just used mine. I just used hemming gum to secure it down. And then you can see I've not finished. So I'm going to open this part. I'm just going to open it a little bit so it will not hurt me. It will not be difficult. I think that's the better word. So the next thing, you are going to determine where you want, how you want your turn up, where you want it to reach. Okay. So for mine, I'm using about 10.5 inches. So I measured from this point, not from the entire shoulder part. Please note, from the sleeve, from the beginning part of my sleeve. So that's my 10.5 there. So you can see it there. So the next thing I'm going to do now, so you need to be very, you need to check this properly. Okay. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to take a pin like this, and then I'm going to pass it through that point that I marked. So when I pass it through, excuse me. Okay, so once I pass it through, I'm going to take this. So I'm going to stitch this. You have to be careful so you don't stitch it facing down. So I'm going to stitch it like this facing up. That's how I'll stitch it. So it's going to come like this. I'm not going to go and stitch it like this, you understand? So I'll take this now, and then I'll place it on that point. That my 10.5 mark point. I'll pin it like this. So I'm going to stitch. So if you notice, we're stitching it not on the armhole side though. We're stitching it on this top part. So that's why you need to iron your sleeve so that you have this line on it so you can see my line. So that makes it easier. So I'm just going to just secure this, and then I'll finish. I'll now join this part that I open. I'll just join it. And then that's literally all. I'll place it on the mannequin for you to see how it looks. Okay. So for mine, I don't have my buttons available. The buttons that I have in the house, they are big. So I don't want to make use of those ones. Okay, guys. So at the end of the day, you can see how it looks like. It came out really fine. So like I said, I don't want the buttons I have. They are a little bit big. So I just want to use tinier buttons for mine. So once I get them, I'll install them and finish it all up. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. The dress actually came out really fine. So, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. I will see you in my next